Hansa Teutonica is the perfect example of an unfussy board game. You've got your player board, your map and some tokens, some wooden cubes and discs, but that is it. The rest is in the elegant board game design. The rules are simple, but there is lots of strategy to explore. Welcome to Unfussy Board Games. I'm Terry O'Neill, and in this video I'm going to talk about a recent game of Hansa Teutonica that I played and use it to discuss the strategy of the game. First of all, let's think about the goal of the game. In Hansa Teutonica, you start with the handbrake on. You have this player board, this escritoire, and it's covered in wooden resources. You want to clear them off. That makes your turns more and more powerful. It gives you more actions every turn, for example. And you want to get those wooden pieces onto the map. Then you can fill up these trade routes, which lets you establish offices or contours in these towns and cities of the Hanseatic League. You need to get a move on. You can't afford to wait around to do that because you score points at the end of the game for having a big network of towns and cities that you have a presence in. But on the other hand, you get points at the end of the game for being the last person into a city. So you have to wait for the other person to go in, and you're hoping to go in second or third into that town or city. So it's quite a balancing act, and it's a very interactive game. So here's the strategy I wanted to give a try. I wanted to use the Book of Lore because it's something that I have avoided in my previous games, and I thought it was time for me to give it a go. So the way it works is it's got these fat merchant discs sitting on there. So I needed to get them off the board and get them onto the map. If I can get these merchants into routes that other players need, then they have to push me out. And if they push my merchant out, that gives me free actions of putting resources onto the map. So that's what I was going to try and do. I was going to get all 5 of my merchants onto the map, and then they have to. The problem is they just sort of have to sit there like a spider in a web. So I would have to be patient and leave them there until players finally have to push them out. And the issue with that was going to be, I'm going to need then a lot of resources in circulation, a lot of cubes, which means I need to refrain from establishing offices, because when you do that, your cube goes into the office and it's no longer in play. So, but establishing offices, isn't that the whole point of the game? So I was thinking about how to make this strategy work, and then I had the idea of the town keys. So perhaps if I do this plan and then also release a lot of town keys, what the keys do is they make the few towns that you have, or the few offices that you have on the board, they make them more valuable. And I thought to myself, hey, this is quite an interesting strategy idea. And that was the plan that I was going to implement in this game. I pictured the strategy thus. I would get the 5 merchants out on the map, just sitting in people's way, and as they push them around, I would get these free actions, putting resources on the board. And the power of the Book of Lore is that for one action, I can move 5 pieces around on the board. So those 5 pieces, I would move 3 traders into a trade route for me to use later, and then I'd move 2 of the merchants around and just put them blocking players on their next turn. This strategy was really exciting. Let's see how it played out. I was playing this game with David, an experienced Hansa Teutonica player, and also with Hilde from Bergen in Norway. Hilde was a total beginner, but she is a tour guide in a Hanseatic Museum, so maybe that would give her an edge in this game. So as Hilde was a beginner, David and I directed her to go for that third action. It's a bit of a criticism of the game, but the first turns can be a bit scripted. You start with just 2 actions in the game, and you really have to, at the start of the game, you have to go and get that 3rd action. Hilde put her 2 resources on the route that gets you the action. And then the script is that David now puts his merchant to block Hilde. But no, he goes off script and puts his resources on the Book of Lore route, which annoyingly for me was the strategy that I wanted to try. So then I got back on script and just put my merchant down to block Hilde and a trader to block David.
And this is Hilde, this is gonna be your first game of Hansa Teutonica.
Yes, I'm excited to see how it'll go. I think I have a decent grasp of how it works, but you may have to help me. We'll see.
You may ask, why is there a Hanseatic Museum in Bergen, Norway? The answer to that is that Bergen was quite a big deal back in the day with the Hanseatic League, and it actually is on the UNESCO World Heritage List. It's the only place that has an existing Hanseatic quarter that has been kept and maintained. So the way the game panned out was that Hilde pushed on through and got herself 5 actions per turn, which was really powerful. I did, in the game of Hansa Teutonica, you cannot allow players to just do that easily, so I used my merchant, and Hilde had to push me out of the way a lot to do that and giving me free actions. Then David decided he was going to try and end the game as soon as possible, which makes a lot of sense. I was shocked by how many points he managed to score in the game. That is one way of finishing the game, by scoring points during gameplay, because most of the points are scored at the end of the game scoring. David was doing this by just doing a bit of everything on his player board and just getting on and establishing towns and cities from the get-go. So I forged ahead with my strategy of getting some merchants off the board and trying to combine that with town keys. But it really crashed and burned, my strategy. I found it really hard to get in the way of the other 2 players. It felt like there was always a way around it. In the end, David managed to end the game before Hilde could make the most of her 5 actions. I ended the game last, and with a disastrous size 2 of a network, and which was really made my town keys a bit worthless. Hilde did manage to make a decent network and get control of a number of towns and cities with her offices, and scored a decent number of points and beat me in her first game, which was really fun to see.
Well done, David. Really well done. Good win. But Hilde, wow, you beat me.
Terry was off his game. He's normally a master of this. So
thank you for saying that.
Strategy.
Yeah, what were you doing? What was your strategy?
Okay, what it was I wanted to get the merchants out and then just block you guys. So my strategy was to not get any offices, which is pretty crazy, but to leave it really late and just keep blocking you. And so that's what I was planning. That's why I was doing the keys. I was doing the keys because it doesn't give you don't lose any cubes.
Well, I sort of knew that you could have got a few officers out and could have racked up your score pretty quickly. And I knew that Hilde had a lot of actions, so combining those, I thought I had to sort of push for game end.
I like the way you just went and got the 5 actions.
Yeah, I figured the more actions you have, the more room you have to make your play and make your strategy. So I figured the further ahead I was in actions, the better it would be. So I was just like, I'm going for that.
I think you did the Hanseatic Museum proud.
Well, thank you. I hope so.
As a Hanseatic tour guide, did you enjoy it? Does it meet your expectations?
Yes, I actually did really enjoy it. What I like is that there's a lot of different facets to it. It's not just you know, placing cubes and competing for space. It's about where you place your cubes. It's about how you connect to your network. It's about what privileges you have. So I like that there's a lot of different elements to it, and you can take a lot of different routes. It's not like, I know I compared it to Ticket to Ride before, but that's a very simple comparison because that's just about laying down your color. Here it's much more strategic in other ways. So I think that was really interesting. I liked it. And I would want to play again so I could try maybe different strategies and go for different things and see how that play out. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. It's good fun.
It's a good comparison actually, because the Ticket to Ride is about making connections and connecting routes and trying to get it done by the end.
Yes, exactly.
Thank you for watching. I hope this strategy discussion makes you want to go and play a game of Hansa Teutonica. Remember, you can support this channel by hitting the subscribe button, liking the video, or sharing. But thank you for all of your encouragement and support so far, and I will see you in the next one.